All right, I'm rocking. We can roll it.
I'm pleased to be joined by one of the hosts behind one of my favorite YouTube channels, College Football Nerds. Is Daniel. Daniel, how you doing, man?
I cannot complain. Like I told you earlier, if I did, you might be the only one who cared.
Look, I, for one, was so excited about last weekend because it came out of nowhere, right? We had one top 25 matchup on the schedule, and then we get four of the top 11, not only beaten, but beaten by unranked opponents, highlighted by Vanderbilt, knocking off number one Alabama. Going into this week, one of the things that I've always been excited about is we circled this week weeks ago in the preseason when we got Ohio State, Oregon, we've got OU, Texas, we've got Kansas State, Colorado. And I wanted to start with, the squad, the squad over here at least. OU, Texas, it is not looking good from the Sooners. They're 14.5-point dogs in this one. I understand that anybody worth their salt is also going to pick Texas as the number one team in the country. What do you see transpiring on Saturday in OU, Texas?
So, first of all, I want to say how frustrated I was that last weekend went the way it did because every time there's a dull weekend on the schedule, people always say that. They always say, watch out, it's going to be crazy. And they keep being right, and I'm tired of it. I want a boring weekend for once. No, really, it was wild. It was nuts, and I'm sure Oklahoma fans want to repeat that this weekend. And you're right, like all the money's going to Texas, and the line I think it was 14.5 yesterday. I don't know where it's at right now. I do say in general that the favored team in rivalry games usually wins about the same clip as normal. So a lot of people love to say you could throw the record books out. Well, I mean, you can throw them out, but they still have some value. So you just got a record book in the street. But in this game, I think it's interesting to note that you've got teams that they're trying to get healthy. And so I don't know if we know what version of Oklahoma we're going to see in terms of who they've been. Got people calling me who they've been and who they're going to be once they get right. I do think that they're still challenged at quarterback, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're not still the best offense that Texas has seen so far, which is noteworthy.
That's not saying a whole bunch, right?
No.
Michigan ain't have a quarterback. UTSA, ULM, all respect there for what they are achieving at their level. It's just no match for Texas. It says more about Texas that they could walk Arch Manning out there, and everybody from Texas on out is confident about what that guy's going to be able to bring to the offense. However, the thing that I would say about Oklahoma that they have improved upon and might actually make a difference is not giving the ball away, right? We saw Arkansas basically pick up the defensive blueprint that Oklahoma showed against Tennessee, and all they did mostly differently was get great play out of quarterback, right? Taylor Green decided he wanted to show up for this one with 19-26 for 266. And then Malachi Singleton, after a rocky entry, ended up taking them over the line quite literally. My frustration would come if the defense at Oklahoma can't seem to get anything done, because the one shining light for this Brent Venables team in 2024 is the front seven, particularly R. Mason Thomas, and then Danny Stutzman being able to run around, chase people down, and then you can get some great play from guys like Connie Walker, Billy Bowman. Perhaps you get a couple of takeaways, but I'm not so much enthusiastic about what the offense is going to show. I'm just hoping that the offense can stay out of the defense's way, and if we got a ball game late, that's all we could hope for if you are an Oklahoma fan. Am I wrong here?
I mean, think about what you saw against Tennessee, and everybody's going to laugh at Tennessee, Alabama for their losses this weekend, but I don't know that Texas is going to be some 3-touchdown favorite over Tennessee because of what happened with Arkansas, and transitive property and all that. But what I'm saying is Oklahoma's already played a team that can beat a roster. Oklahoma's already played a team that has the potential to win at a high level. And what did they do? They shortened the game, and they figured something out at quarterback at the end of that game that might translate down the road. If nothing else, it gives you something as an opponent to have to prepare for. What you saw from this Oklahoma team on tape, even from games that they won big like Temple or kind of big like Tulane, and especially the struggle against Houston, is you saw an offense that you didn't necessarily have to prepare for specifically. And that's what bit Alabama this weekend is they're not going to take a week off to prepare for a triple option inverted veer kind of thing because it's Vanderbilt, right? And it bit them. And so now, if nothing else, you have this mental energy that has to be focused towards what you've got at quarterback that is at least a little bit different. And the other thing that you have at quarterback is the opportunity to shorten the game. And that's what Oklahoma's got to do is you say their defense has got to give them something. And yeah, I think that something is shortening the game enough where you can get a couple of explosives and at least stay in it. You got to be in at the half like Iowa was against Ohio State, but then you got to not fumble the bag in the third quarter.
That's a very interesting game to check there, because the other thing that I noticed from that game is I believe Ohio State had one possession in the first half of that game against Iowa. Some of this is you're putting the ball on the floor. Some of this is you're throwing the ball to the other team. But after that offense got started, there was no stopping it. That's where I want to focus when we talk about Texas, just here for the second. What is it that you want to take away if you are Oklahoma and you hope to win this game?
I think historically, and Texas fans get all over us about this, but the data is there. Historically, Quinn Ewers is very streaky as a downfield passer. He's not an overly efficient passer. Like he does a lot in the short game that's schemed out for him. And there's some games where he's just out of his mind. Like he can just absolutely drop dimes like he did at Alabama and Tuscaloosa last year. He was that guy. And there's other games where he disappears. And so Oklahoma needs to figure out defensively a way to give him looks where he is that guy that's not killing you deep. And, I think it still remains to be seen if they've got the same deep threats as they did last year with guys that are tearing it up in the NFL, right? Like Isaiah Bond, transfer from Alabama, I think he's a great receiver. I don't know that he's an elite plus receiver, at least not taking the top off kind of receiver. And I do think you have to frustrate that offense to the point where if they're going to score, it's going to take them 6-7 minutes plus and 13-14 plays plus and not give up, you can't have a 3-and-out on one side and then give up just a back-breaking deep shot on the other side.